the October long weekend, and between Saturday, October 1st to Monday, October 3rd, 2022, Transport Heritage New South Wales had brought back the Transport Heritage Expo after 3 years due to the COVID-19 pandemic. 4 years for us as we attended the 2018 event. 3801, who makes its debut at this event, is seen passing through Carlton heading for Hurstville on its first shuttle trip with 3526. Later, we see them on their return trip to Sydney. Next we see 6029 passing through, with 4501 assisting. Then we see 4501 leading the way to Sydney. Later, as the sun begins to poke out from the cloudy weather, we see 3526 and 3801 at Kogarah, making their way to Sydney after their second run to Hurstville. Then we see 6029 passing through, with its second train heading for Hurstville. Before we see 4501 leading the way to Sydney, a coal train is seen passing through. Then we see the 45 class diesel gliding through. We then move to Banksia, as we see 3801 and 3526 heading to Hurstville again on their third run. To end Saturday, we caught up with 3801 and 3526 at Alawa, with their fourth and final shuttle train to Hurstville. Once again, 3526 now leads the train back to Sydney. Then we see 6029 passing through. With Saturday's event coming to a close, 4501 leads the train again back to Sydney. We return to Banksia on Sunday, October 2nd, 2022, and we see 3801 and 3526 heading for Hurstville on their first shuttle run for the day. We now move to Sydney Central Station, where all the excitement is held. 3265 for the Museum of Applied Arts and Science, the Powerhouse Museum, is seen on display alongside 8649 from Sydney Electric Train Society, who was seen in our October 2022 edition of Rail Around New South Wales, when it and 3801 crossed the Sydney Harbour Bridge. On Platform 1, 3801 and 3526 had returned from their first trip and are now getting ready with their second trip to Hurstville. Considering that 3801 is arguably Australia's most famous steam locomotive, it's no surprise to see both platforms packed with admirers. Later, 6029 is seen leaving Central as well for its run to Hurstville in this unique shot. This was taken while we were on tour of the famous clock tower situated at the station, one of the activities during the expo. Historic buses from the Sydney Bus Museum are seen leaving the station with their own passengers to take them around the CBD, as well as to connect passengers to the steamboat and yacht at Darling Harbour that are owned by the Sydney Heritage Fleet. Later, 3526 and 3801 had returned from Hurstville. After our clock tower tour, we see 3265 and 8649 once again. 8649 was built by the Commonwealth Engineering Company at Granville in 1985. using Mitsubishi electrical equipment due to the extension of electrification from Gosford to Newcastle in 1984 and to Port Kembla in 1985. The 86 class diesels had taken the most important express mail and passenger trains, such as the Indian Pacific, the Brisbane Limited, Pacific Coast Motorrail, and the Newcastle Express. 8649 had worked on the railways until it was retired from service in 1998 and went into several private owners until it was purchased by SETS for preservation and is operated by Pacific National. The 86 class was repainted in its candy livery in 2022 with funding assistance from the Transport Heritage Grants program by Transport Heritage New South Wales.
Customers going to the grand final at Olympic Park, as well as our direct train services, the funds from Sydney Terminal.
As 3801 and 3526 await for their next trip to Hurstville, a CPH rail motor car from the Rail Motor Society in Paterson can be seen in the back on platform 3. The rail motor will be taking passengers along the goods line. .3801 and 3526 will now make their way to Hurstville on their third shuttle trip. On display on the concourse of Central Station is an FC Holden taxi number 1196, which was built in 1959 at Holden's assembly plant in Dandenong, Victoria for the Yellow Cab Company. After approximately 100,000 miles of service, the vehicle was put up for sale by the company and was purchased by a man named Cecil Horn at Greenacre in the southwest of Sydney to replace his aging 1940s Plymouth. The car was used for short trips around the local area until Mr. Horn purchased a new vehicle in the late 1970s and parked the FC Holden in his garage. It remained unused until 2000, by which time Mr. Horn passed away and was then bought by the Sydney Bus Museum with the intention of restoring it to its Yellow Cab Co look. Mechanically, the car was in excellent condition, and the early repairs it requires was to items that suffered from lack of use, such as brakes, radiator, exhaust system and water pump, while it still retains its original Grey Series motor. 4916 from Transport Heritage New South Wales and resides at the New South Wales Rail Museum is seen on display with a rake of carriages from the famous Southern Aurora train. During the long weekend, the carriages offered Devonshire tea. Further down the platform is the vintage electric train Set W3 from Historic Electric Traction. This 4-car vintage set was the first production train to feature powered operated safety doors and the first set to use double-deck carriages in Sydney.
Good afternoon, customers. Welcome to the station. Customers have the main final. Olympic class with the
T4814, seen here painted in blue and white, is carrying the livery for the Public Transport Commission, which looked after transport in New South Wales from 1972 until 1980. T4814 represents the balance of the 120 double-deck carriages built by Tulloch Limited of Rhodes between 1964 to 1968. T4801 was the very first double-deck carriage to enter service on March 1, 1964. These cars were innovative for its time, as they were constructed from lightweight aluminium on steel underframes with air ride bogies for better riding quality. The two single-deck carriages in this set were built by Commonwealth Engineering near Granville in 1958. They were known as the Sputnik cars, as their introduction coincided with the launch of the satellite by that name by the former Soviet Union in 1957. Later, 6029 is now seen at Central. While 4501 looks on, Red Rattler F1 from Historic Electric Traction is seen on Platform 1 after one of its trips to East Hills. Later, 3526 and 3801 are seen pulling into Central and will be getting ready for their last trip to Hurstville for Sunday. We hop on board and travel to Hurstville in style. As we make our way to Hurstville, 6029 is seen heading its way to Sydney with 4501 leading. We now end Sunday's event and now move on to the last day on Monday, October 3rd, 2022. 3801 and 3526 are seen charging through Arncliffe with their first shuttle train for Monday, while a Tangara set is seen on platform 3 heading with commuters to Bondi Junction in Sydney's east. As we wait for the two locos on the return trip, we see 4 Pacific National diesels passing by with a grain train. Then we see the 35 and 38 passing through. They will be slowing down to wait for a path back to Sydney. Meanwhile, 6029 is seen passing by with its first shuttle train to Hurstville. 4501 now leaves the train for Sydney. Next we see 3801 and 3526 passing us at Rockdale. Once again, 3526 now leads the train 10 to 1st to Sydney. While we wait for 6029, an empty Horizons coal train can be seen passing through. As the empties makes its way through, another Horizons coal train is seen passing through with fully loaded coal. Later we see 6029 passing through. We then see 6029 passing through Banksia on its third run. .4501 now leads the train back to Sydney. .3801 and 3526 are now seen pulling into Hurstville on their final shuttle train for the day and for the Expo for 2022. .3526 now leads the train back to Sydney. Next, 6029 pulls into Hurstville with its final shuttle trip. 4501 now leads the way to Sydney for the final time after a successful long weekend.